novel written by Albert Camus and was originally published in French under the name of Le Stranger in 1942. The theme of the book is the exemplars of existentialism. Existentialism is defined as the philosophical and cultural movement which holds that the starting point of philosophical thinking must be the experiences of the individual, and that moral and scientific thinking together do not suffice to understand human existence. Albert Camus was born on November 7, 1913, and died at the age of 46 on January 4, 1960. His own personal views contributed to the rise of philosophy called absurdism. In philosophy, the absurd refers to the conflict between human tendency to seek inherent value and meaning in life and the human inability to find any. Camus was viewed as an avid proponent of existentialism, the same as his main character in The Stranger, but he never confirmed this himself. Many of his literary works were created to showcase the positive aspects of surrealism and existentialism to his colleagues, and he also tried to reject the negativity of nihilism, which is a viewpoint that traditional beliefs and values are unfounded and that existence is essentially senseless and useless. In Reinie T, one of Camus's other books, he discusses the idea of dualism. Dualism becomes a paradox. We value our own lives in spite of our mortality and in spite of the universe's silence. While we can live with dualism, we cannot live with the paradox. In Reinie T, Camus investigates our experience of the absurd and asks how we live with it. Our life must have meaning for us to value it. If we accept that life has no meaning and therefore no value, should we kill ourselves? Mersault is the absurdist hero of The Stranger, and he has killed a man and is scheduled to be executed. Kaluga from Reinie T ends up admitting his absurd logic was wrong and is killed by an assassination he has deliberately brought about. However, while Camus possibly suggests that Kaluga's absurd reasoning is wrong, the play's anti-hero does get the last word, as the author similarly exalts Mersault's final moments. In the book, Camus presents the readers with dualisms, such as happiness and sadness, dark and light, life and death, etc. He emphasizes the fact that happiness is fleeting and that human condition is one of morality. For Camus, this is cause for greater appreciation for life and happiness. He emphasizes these ideas throughout The Stranger by using first-person point of view. The views expressed throughout The Stranger come from the main character, Mersault. The novel begins with the sentences, "The man died today," or yesterday, maybe, I don't know, showing the indifference Mersault has with his own mother's death. He shows no emotion throughout the novel and uses logic to make all of his decisions. Let's take a look at the most critical scenes of the novel in order to get a deeper look at Mersault's character, thus giving us an understanding of Camus's own personal views.
The main character in this story is named Mersault, and that's the point of view from which the story is told. It also takes place in Algeria, and the time period is a little bit before World War II. As Cassie mentioned previously, the book begins with a quote immediately characterizing Mersault, the main character. It says, "My mom died today, yesterday maybe. I don't know. I got a telegram from the home. Mother deceased, funeral tomorrow, faithfully yours." That doesn't mean anything. Maybe it was yesterday. This quote clearly characterizes him because of his emotional indifference to his own mother's death.
Here is a brief summary to catch you up to speed with what's gone on in the book so far. Mersault, the novel's narrator and protagonist, receives a telegram telling him that his mother has died. She had been living in an old person's home. Mersault catches the 2 o'clock bus to Marengo and sleeps for nearly the entire trip. When Mersault arrives, he meets with the director of the old person's home, who assures Mersault that he is not to feel bad for having sent his mother there. The director asserts that it was the best decision and Mersault could have made, given his modest salary. He tells Mersault that a religious funeral has been planned for his mother, but Mersault knows that his mother never cared about religion. Then the director takes Mersault to the small mortuary where his mother's coffin has been placed. Alone, Mersault sees the coffin has already been sealed. The caretaker rushes in and offers to open up the casket, but Mersault tells him not to bother. The caretaker offers him a cup of coffee, and in turn, Mersault gives the caretaker a cigarette. The next morning, the director asks Mersault if he wants to see his mother one last time before the coffin is sealed permanently. But Meursault declines. The director tells Meursault about Thomas Perez, the only resident of the home who will be allowed to attend the funeral. He remembers little from the funeral, aside from Perez's tear-soaked face and the fact that the old man fainted from the heat. As he rides home on the bus to Algiers, Meursault is filled with joy at the prospect of a good night's sleep. The following day, Meursault goes swimming at a public beach, where he runs into Marie Cardona, a former co-worker of his. He helps her onto a float, and after admiring her beauty, he climbs up next to her on the float. They swim happily together and flirt over the course of the afternoon, and Marie accepts Meursault's invitation to see the movie. After the movie, Marie spends the night with Meursault. He stays in bed until noon and then spends the entire afternoon on his balcony. He goes into deep thought and realizes his mother is buried, and he must return to work the next morning. He concludes that nothing has changed after all. The next day, Meursault comes across his crotchety old neighbor and his dog. The old man constantly beats and verbally abuses his dog, who suffers from a skin condition. They talk briefly before Meursault runs into another neighbor of his, Raymond Sintez, and he invites Meursault to dinner. Raymond is widely believed to be a pimp, but when anyone asks about his occupation, he replies that he is a warehouse guard. Over dinner, Raymond requests Meursault's advice about something, and then asks Meursault whether he would like to be pals. Meursault offers no objection, so Raymond launches into his story. Raymond tells Meursault that when he suspected that his mistress was cheating on him, he beat her and she left him. This altercation led Raymond into a fight with his mistress's brother, an Arab. Raymond is still attracted to his mistress, but wants to punish her for infidelity. His idea is to write a letter to incite her guilt and make her return to him. He plans to write the letter. He plans to sleep with her, and right at the last minute, spit in her face. Raymond then asks Meursault to write the letter, and Meursault responds that he would not mind doing it. Raymond is pleased with Meursault's effort, so he tells Meursault that they are now pals. A week later, Marie and Meursault can hear an argument in Raymond's apartment. The tenants of the building gather on the landing and listen outside the door for the sounds of Raymond beating his mistress. A police officer arrives. Raymond's mistress informs the officer that Raymond beat her, and the cop slaps Raymond in the face. He then orders Raymond to sit and wait in his apartment until he has summoned them to the police station. Later that afternoon, Raymond visits Meursault in his apartment. He asks Meursault to go to the police station to testify that his mistress had cheated on him. Meursault agrees. On the way down, they call Raymond out of his room, and the three of them prepare to take a bus to Mason's beach house. As they head for the bus, they notice a group of Arabs, including Raymond's mistress's brother, whom Meursault refers to as the Arab, staring at them. They enjoy their afternoon at the beach, and then Meursault and Raymond go to Mason go for a walk and notice their Arab following them.